us on the program today. We'll still go back to our newsroom to complete our news report, but I've got a guest right now joining me in the studio who will be joining me to take a look at issues around Nigeria. Well, it's June 12th in Nigeria. Is an important day in Nigeria. You will remember in those days of June 12th, Abiola saga and the rest of issues. The governor of Ekiti State, Governor Ayodele Fayose, on behalf of the Southwest State, has called for a public holiday in Nigeria. There is the regional agitation, the Igbo and the Igbos and Biafra people calling for self-independence and self-determination, and the northern youth and elders saying, giving ultimatum to the Igbos in the region to leave. We heard today that in the southwest they are doing the same, warning the Igbos in the southwest to take the time. A lot of tension happening in the land, in the country. Nobody is actually talking about the whereabouts of Mr. President Muhammadu Buhari. It seems everybody has gone quiet and silent now. Nobody is giving, not anybody in government is giving us any information about the whereabouts of the president, about the state of his health. Everything seems to have gone quiet and down. The budget is still in line. That you would remember about this time last year, we were looking for the budget. Nigerians were looking for the budget, and that was when they had these budget padding and the rest of things about this time last year. And now, last year, Nigerians were looking for the budget as a result of the pardon issue, but this year they were looking for, it seems they are looking for somebody to sign the budget. Nobody's ready to there now to sign the budget, so it seems it's gone the other way around. What a country we are. Quite a lot of issues happening in Nigeria. I'm glad I'm joined by one man who has been in the forefront of advocacy in Nigeria. He is the executive director, Civil Society Legislative Advocacy, the Advocacy Center in Nigeria. He's also the head of Transparency International Nigeria. He's the chairman of Amnesty International Nigeria, a man who has been there fighting for good government and governance from all fronts, even at the international space. I'm joined this morning by our Musa Rafsanjani. Thank you for joining us, Rafsanjani. It's a pleasure to have you join us one more time in our studio. If you take a look at the background I've created, it's quite shocking. Let's start from the budget. This time last year, we were dealing with the issue of budget padding. The budget this time last year was being tossed between the legislature and the presidency, trying to rally around effect necessary correction. But this time, while the budget is ready, we're looking for somebody to sign it. It does seem strange. Just opposing that, what are your comments?
Well, first and foremost, let me say that unfortunately many of the public office holders in Nigeria are not interested about the progress and the development of the Nigeria as a nation, and also, for the development of the people. They are just, interested on what they can make out of it, and that is why you see, unfortunately, many of our, lawmakers probably did not actually, care about, the country. They are there, some of them, they are there just to use that as a political relevance, and to also use it as a cover to cover some of the misdeeds they did in the past, and to also continue to see how they can explore the potential opportunities, that are there for them, collecting, pre-salary, and allowances, and also, getting all sort of payables, So therefore, the caution of the country is not necessarily a matter, because some of them, they don't actually come to the session, they don't come to the plenary session, and neither are they working in any committee. You see a member, not attending, session for a very long time, and it's not that he or she has gone for any parliamentary, assignment. So that's one problem. So when you don't have people that really that are interested in the work that they are supposed to be doing, then you have this kind of disconnect. Second, there are some people also in the executive that have perpetuated themselves, in, also, prod many people, that are in the executive, in different ministries and parastatal. They see civil service work as an avenue just to steal money, to siphon, money. So when you have this kind of bunch of people at the helms of their peers, it is difficult really to push for any progressive and radical progress. So now, when the president came and he wanted, to see that, things are changed, of course, he met with serious resistance because people are used to looting, they are used to diverting public, funds, they are used to padding in the budget, they are used to all sorts of manners of things. And this current administration, they came to say, look, given the kind of devastation the country has gone, it is not possible for us to continue, business as usual. And we in civil society, we also reason with them, because we cannot sustain and survive the kind of impunity and looting, outright stealing that, we have seen in Nigeria. So therefore, some of the members and some of the people in the executive, they are not, working towards achieving this objective of maybe the president and his vice president. So if you notice, they are on their own. The president and the vice president, they are on their own, whereas some of the executive members and the judiciary and the legislature, they are also on their own. No synergy. And this is really frustrating, and that's why the budget, today, as it is now, uh, it's even dangerous to pass it, because you have seen
The
huge.
budget is already passed. It's
No, no,
just
no.
waiting for
It's
an
passed.
act.
What I mean, it is dangerous to assent to it,
Okay.
because there are so many items, that were introduced not for this, sake for the progress or economic development of the country or for even the people, but some people budgeted money just for themselves. You can imagine
But
the
but
huge amount of money budgeted for refreshment. You can see the huge millions that have been budgeted, in the name of consultant. Meanwhile, you have legislative institute. I am pro legislature. I want legislature to work effectively and efficiently to be able to do its legislative,
responsibilities.
responsibility. But we do not support siphoning public funds in the name of doing legislative work. The budget of the National Assembly, if you look at it, is too frivolous, and therefore it's difficult, to really get that, assented by, executive that are
Presidency.
interested in sanitizing and reducing waste in public funds. So that is why you are seeing the acting president is finding it difficult to actually sign that budget, because there are so many areas that if you say you are fighting corruption, you cannot allow those kind of ridiculous amount of money just to give people just free
So,
money.
in your own opinion, the budget is still not signed because the presidency is not comfortable
Yes,
with the state.
yeah, the
But
presidency is not comfortable with
but
that
the
because
presidency has not come out to tell us
no,
why
they have
the
been. You see, they
budget has
cannot
not
be
been
talking
signed.
on the media. They have been discussing with them, trying to see how they can, address some of the, areas that they consider as not realistic, because there is a huge amount of money that is tantamount to waste and just money for people just to put in their pocket. And if you are talking about austerity, if you are talking about recession, under recession, you cannot, even without recession, it is wrong to just, waste public funds. So I think the executive is engaging the legislature now to see what they can do to amend some of those areas they have concern, over. So I believe by the time they have done that, the acting president, is going to sign that budget, But it is important that we have reached this level, because ideally the executive and legislature ought to have had conversation or discussion and agree on some of these areas, because this is June now, and this budget was, deposited. The proposal for the budget was deposited in December.
Mm.
You can imagine from December to date, we have wasted enough money. I mean, enough time, and Nigerian economy is shrinking, and people are suffering. But because some of these people that are doing this, they are comfortable, they don't care about the country. It is only what comes to their pocket that matters, both from the executive and the legislature. This is what you are seeing in Nigeria. But I think, we have moral responsibility and obligation as civil society, to continue to raise some of these fundamental concern, and make sure that our elected official and public officers, they do the right thing. Otherwise, we cannot sustain this kind of responsibility.
There are two things that are currently lingering in Nigeria, but it does seems it does seems we are forgotten about some of these issues. But quickly, let me tell you. So, from your own assessment, you think the Nigeria legislature hasn't performed too creditably well?
Well, if you look at what has happened, in the last 2 years, there has been so much controversy in the H Assembly, particularly in the Senate. Every day, you see from one crisis or another. In my opinion, and based on what many Nigerians have also observed, the House of Representatives, they seem to be more progressive than the Senate, because in the Senate you have a lot of unnecessary, diversion. When you have people, like Dino Melai, whose, temperament and, experience and maturity, is problematic, in dealing with issue that has to do with, upper chamber, issue that has to do with national discourse, is a problem, So you have a lot of them that they are actually afraid of Dino. As senators, as colleague senators, they are afraid of him because Dino is physically fit. He can beat anybody, and this is because of the lack of the maturity and lack of reasoning that is associated with him. And some of people like him there. So some of the senators, they are afraid to talk because he can disgrace you. He can do all sorts of things, to humiliate you. Therefore, if you are a responsible person, you try as much as possible to avoid joining issue with people like Dino Milai. And with all the scandal that has been going on, in the Senate, and some of the unnecessary, intimidation and harassment they were doing, which is not actually within the purview of legislative work, you could see that the Senate did not actually do much, in terms of pushing Nigerian project or Nigerian interests, Whereas the House of Representatives, they seem to be more, progressive, and you can see that even when the House Rep passed a lot of bill, the Senate, had to just save itself to quickly adopt, some of those bills that the House of Rep, has passed, because the House of Rep have more people who are interested to do the work, and therefore they sat down, they do the work, and they pass some of this budget, However, it is not just passage of bill that is the only legislative work. There are other key, like effective and responsible oversight. Is one of the major key responsibility of legislature. And the way, a manner in which, for example, Senate was doing its own, which has so many personal interests, make many Nigerians to really lose confidence, on them. For example, when they were engaging the custom man for not wearing uniform, this is not really, something that you can come and, waste their time over, And when they refused twice to, confirm the nomination of the EFCC, acting EFCC chair, many Nigerians were worried, and some of the utterances of some of them openly on the floor that they cannot confirm the acting EFCC chair, because if they confirm him, he's going to jail them. So that also caused for concern and worry for so many people. So in totality, I can say that while there are some people in the Senate that are equally interested to do this work, but I can tell you from the verdict we have from many Nigerians, assessment, the Senate performed below expectation, because of its numerous, crises. You remember the leadership crisis, when Saraki became the Senate president, and then subsequently another set of leadership crises, when they send away the Senate, majority leader, Indume. So the Senate has been experiencing constant and regular turbulence. There has not been much stability in the Senate compared to the House of Representatives, and the Senate, leadership is facing a serious allegation, corruption allegation. Every time they go to court, on the issue of allegation of corruption. So which also is a serious concern for morality, because if you are accused of this kind of sin, I believe here in London here, if somebody at that high level is being accused, of this kind of monumental corruption, what the person would definitely do
Step
without
aside.
even telling him is to step aside to save his integrity. But in Nigeria, it doesn't matter. It's a do or die, and it is a vehicle for further accumulation of wealth. So therefore, it doesn't matter. Even if today Saraki is confirmed that he has been actually involved in the corrupt practices, he will not resign and he will not step aside, because unfortunately the Nigerian politicians, they don't really have they don't care about public outcry and even the morality to do the work. So really, in terms of comparison, as far as we are concerned, the House of Representatives appears to be more proactive, more assertive, more interested in Nigeria, and you can see from even their debate and discussion. Whereas in the Senate, you have a bunch of exuberant people like Dino, whose his own is just to be fighting every now and then, and I don't think that is what a responsible Senate should look like. I think Senate should be for matured, responsible, experienced, integrity people. And when you are lacking that kind of set of people, it is going to be difficult. So in my opinion, I think we really have to continue to call our elected official to order, because what they are elected to do is not in many instances what they are actually doing. It is more of like personal interest, personal opportunity to accumulate resources, continue to create tension, continue to unnecessarily intimidate and harass people now, because the current administration has blocked opportunity for people to extort money. So many of the people who go there with the intention of making money, there's no money for them now, because in the past, some of the members, they can just go to ministry and prestatal, extort money, collect money, at all costs. But now, this time around, it is difficult. There's no money for people to do that. So many of them are not happy. So therefore, they resort to this intimidation and harassment, And we believe that that is not the legislative work. The legislative work, is not about harassing, abusing, intimidating people. It is about really actually looking at how you can have legislate, laws that can, ensure good governance, transparency, and accountability, and also carry out effective and responsible oversight on government policies and programs, as well as implementation of law in Nigeria.
Let's quickly move away from legislative responsibility and how far it has come, whether it's actually our dream National Assembly. Of course, from your analysis, it might not have actually become, it is not probably the dream National Assembly Nigeria is waiting for, despite some of the giant strides and some of the challenges it has been. But let's move away. Let's quickly go to regional agitation. It's becoming an issue now, and it is more pronounced from the moment this administration came to power. We see Biafra on the rising. We see the northern region and its youth giving people from the Igbo ultimatum to leave the north. Do you think this is the right time for this?
My brother, let me tell you, all this agitation, all this uprising, all these issues that people are raising, there's a simple issue, that is causing this. The youth in the north, the youth in the south, whether Muslim, whether Christians, whether Jew, whether whatever they are in Nigeria, are all victims of the political class in Nigeria. The ordinary man or woman in the north, the ordinary man or woman in the south, they are suffering, they are facing serious, poverty. They are, not having job. They cannot gain admission in the university, even if they score, because they don't have money to bribe the lecturers, to get admitted. And when they come out of the university, if they are lucky, they manage to graduate, they will not get job, because their father their parents are not big men in Nigeria. So it is the culmination of this, hunger, poverty, unemployment, and lack of leadership and mentorship, because unfortunately the youth did not see people to lead them, to follow them, so they are left on their own to take decision, because in the past you would say, okay, this man or this woman has, a credible, life, and I want to be like him, I want to be like her. Nowadays, what you see, everybody, including a child, he will tell you that he want to be a governor, he want to be a member of National Assembly, or a councillor, or chairman local government, because it is the easy way to make money. It is the easy way to steal money. So the role model for young people now are people who have looted the country, or who are looting the country, not people who have served the country with honesty and sincerity and commitment, as well as patriotism. So that is why there's a disconnect. Now these young people that are doing this agitation, they are product of these elites who have continued to manipulate them, who have continued to undermine and underdevelop them. They all went to public schools. Now they are occupying positions that have made it impossible, for all of us to enjoy public, institutions. Whereas in their time, they have gone to public institutions, government took care of them, provided, sound education for them. Now they have killed the public institution, they have killed the university, they have killed the, health center, health hospitals, and all other places. So this agitation that we are seeing, it is because of the inequality, it is because of the injustice, it is because of lack of access to opportunity, it is because people have been subjected to artificial hunger and poverty.
Isn't that what this current government was voted for to change?
Yeah,
so why do we have
there is
an increase,
because
in some
this
of
is what I'm
prices?
telling you. The political class will always continue to sustain and maintain their status, and if it is to sponsor this kind of agitation to undermine the efforts of the government, if government is serious about doing this thing, and this political elite from both the north and south, they will conspire and make sure that they undermine and sustain the hegemony of diverting public attention from the real issue. The real issue is that there are two classes of people, the oppressed and oppressors, and they are oppressing people. If you go to the east, the place that people are agitating for the Biafra, you will see the political class there, from the local government chairman to the House of Rep, to the councillor, to the governor, to the members from the National Assembly, whether senators or House of Rep. There is total disconnect with ordinary person. They are in the east. The same thing also in the north. So it is a fight between those who are oppressing the ordinary person and the oppressed person. But they will always try to create an impression that your problem, it is Mr. A or Mr. B or Zone 1 or Zone 2. So they will come and say, okay, the reason why you are where you are today is because a northerner or a Hausa man is oppressing you, or a Yoruba man is oppressing you, or a Igbo man is oppressing you. So the Nigerian poor people, they have the same identity, they have the same problems, but the political class, when it comes to sharing money, for example, during the Jonathan, when they are looting, didn't you see Hausa man? Didn't you see Fulani man? Didn't you see Yoruba man? Didn't you see Igbo? Didn't you see Ijo? Didn't you see Idoma? They are all there to share the loot, to steal and continue to cause confusion, so that Nigerians cannot understand the real problem. The real problems and the real enemy are these bourgeois who are confusing people. So therefore, the agitation you see from people like Nnamdi Kanu, is because there was a vacuum of leadership. The young people that are following Kanu, they are victim of this thing that I just mentioned. And when they see Kanu saying that, okay, we are going to do this thing, because when we do this thing, your problem will be solved. So they believe in him. The same thing, also for people who are doing Boko Haram. When the Boko Haram began initially, before they began, violence, that was what they were telling the ordinary people, that your problems is because these people are oppressing you. These people have gone to Western education. They are using borrow to steal billions and millions and subjugating you in poverty. So if you follow our own way of doing things, we will liberate you. That was how some people innocently followed them. So innocent people also were following, Kanu, because they believed that what he was saying will solve the problem. But in reality, between me and you, you know that that is not really the way to go about it. The same thing also for those other Yoruba that are saying they want to do Odudua. The same thing. It is the same political class that are doing all this manipulation. Even those ones that are agitating for middle belts. Look, my brother, if you want to look at this issue holistically and with all honesty, you know that the cause of this problem is inequality, injustice.
Should that be enough reasons? I mean, what I'm saying, the Northern Youth last week gave ultimatum to the Igbos in the north to leave the north by October.
Yeah. Well, I think they are representing themselves because, like I am trying to tell you, if you go to the north, not everybody, in fact, not everybody is aware of that even conference, if you go to the east, not everybody believe in Kanu, and the Biafra agitation, In fact, even here in diaspora, I've been going to many countries. Not everybody agrees with the Kanu and his unbalanced way of doing things, Not every Igbo believe in him. But you see, there's an impression that everybody is a Biafra, every Igbo man believes in the way Kanu does his thing. Everybody, believes in what those young people, that addressed the press conference, 16 of them, out of how many millions, of people, So I think, we need to also stop, exaggerating and giving, importance to some of these things. How will you expect an Igbo man and Igbo woman who was born and brought up in Kano, who owns properties, owns shops, owns houses, a landlord, a landlady, who has nowhere in the east, you expect him or her to live? Where do you want her to go? Where do you want her to start? Where are you going to accommodate her? How do you going to start that? Or you expect somebody who lives in Lagos from the north, all his life has been in Ogomosho, in Ibadan, in Lagos. You expect him to come out? Or are you even telling me that, for example, in Kano, where, really Kano and Lagos are the two major places where you can find everybody. Look at Professor Yagi. Professor Yagi is a Yoruba man, but are they not the elders of Kano now? There are so many, people who were elected in both the House of Rep, that are either Igbos or Hausas, In fact, the whole Kano is a let me say, it's a place for everybody. It's a mini Nigeria. Egyptians, you have Libyans, you have Sudanese, you have Iraqi, you have so many people, Europeans, you have Yorubas, you have Nipe, you have Chadis, you have Niger people, different. How do you expect them to? So those who are even telling somebody to leave, when you dig out, you find out that he himself or herself is not even from, going by what they are saying, is not even from that place, because of the way and manner in which, the whole, note is built up. The note is for everybody. So I am saying that the ultimatum is a joke, because
will it not fuel the danger
because you have
especially when people believe that the north is they have this idea that the north is responsible for the crisis in the system, the struggle for power, and the insistence of ruling Nigeria.
How do you do that? How do you do that? I think it is important to also correct that misinterpretation also, because you are a democracy, you are under democracy.
That is one
you
of
having
the
democracy.
For Biafra.
You elected your local government chairman, councillors, state house of assembly, state governor, and house of rep, and the senate from your own place. For example, let's say in the southeast. Is this the Hausa man or the Fulani man or the Yoruba man that went to elect or to impose those people that are ruling them? I think we need to begin to really change this conversation to real issue. I think people are just unnecessarily using all this sentiment to continue to divert attention from the real issue. I think we are not holding our own immediate leadership accountable for their action, or inaction, and you are blaming other people for your own failures, So, in this democracy, I don't see how a Yoruba man or a Igbo man or a woman, a Hausa man would go to another, zone to say that this is how you should be. I think, let us be realistic, At the national level, it's politics. You negotiate, and when you have, for example, the North, negotiating with the Southwest, to produce the presidency, you cannot say that you are insisting. It's democracy. When Obasanjo was elected twice, is it also is it the same interpretation that one would also give, or when Jonathan became the president? I think it is important that the elite also begin to be honest when they are talking, about some of these issues. We continue to fuel some of this misconception. There's nothing like insistence. If, for example, the Southwest, mark you, President Buhari twice, when he was contesting election, he took Okadibo, and then he took another, no, from the Igbo land,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he took two persons to be his vice president, So, at that time, there was nothing like Biafra agitation, or even when Jonathan was president, there was nothing like Biafra agitation. Then you now begin to ask yourself, what is the issue? What happened now that, Jonathan had finished successfully? Nobody say you must tear Nigeria into pieces, Obasanjo has done. Nobody say the country must be tear into pieces. Now, these people came, and then you want to say that, okay, the country should be tear into pieces. I think we need to get this in very clear, and we do not need to allow mischievous politicians to continue to suffer us and suppress us. The poor man, like I said, in the north, and the poor man in the south is the same victim of this political ruthless, wicked elite who will never help you. So therefore, in my opinion, and that is really, how many people are talking about, the agitation of the Ariwa youth, the agitation from the Biafra youth, the agitation from the Odudua, the agitation from the Middle Belt is all as a result of lack of leadership and mentors that they can see to genuinely follow and do things. So even if you scatter Nigeria into 100 pieces today, as long as inequality, injustice is not addressed, my brother, you will not see this peace that we are talking about. Because once there's a social injustice, there's inequality, there's poverty, there's this outright looting and stealing by public officials. I can assure you that even if you divide Nigeria into 100 pieces, nothing is going to work.
All right, because of our time, we are running out of time. I have some more guests to come in. Let me take a couple of issues here that I'm getting tweets on. I've got this tweet saying, what is happening in Nigeria? Nobody is talking about the $43 million found at a private apartment on Osborne Street. It seems it is dead.
It's not dead. The court has just ruled, on that Nigerian government
But the presidency set up a committee to investigate and report. And by now, one would have thought that the presidency and some people have been put on prosecution or something. But we're not even getting any further information.
We need to be careful so that when we talk about rule of law, when matter is in the court, you cannot
I mean, the issue of the course is just the forfeiture of the money.
No, but it's all part of it, because somebody can go and challenge that it is my money, so you cannot really take.
But the court has ruled that the money should be forfeited to the federal
government. Just now, court has ruled on that, and I know for sure that those people responsible for that, there was a committee headed by the acting vice president, and that report would definitely show the people that were responsible for that. And I can assure you that I don't think these people are interested in cover up or any politics, because really they are out there. I'm not siding or supporting them, and I'm not a politician, and I'm not having any sentiment. But when you see people that are upright and are trying to do something to correct the wrongdoing in Nigeria, we have moral responsibility to support that. So in my opinion, this committee that was set up by the president, headed by the vice president, now acting president, I believe that they are going to do what they are supposed to do. And now that we have already gotten the court injunction that the federal government can actually use that money. It's a legitimate money for
But
the federal government.
is it not?
What
Is
is
it
more
not?
important, listen, what is more important now is that nobody has come to say it is my money.
No, but the NIA said it was the money given to the agency for a covert operation. But I think the presidency's committee by now should have come out to tell Nigerians that indeed it was part of the money for a covert operation, or it was a private money found in a private house, but we're still investigating. Why everything seems to be quiet?
No, I think, Tunde, what is more important in my opinion is, first, it has been established it is a public funds. That is one. Number two, it has been established that there was some fishy things, around hiding of the money, and also, let me say diverting, the money, for maybe personal thing, that has been established. I don't see how the committee, will now come to say that this money is.
But we have not established why that money was put in a private flat without.
What establishment you want when you know that this money it was meant to steal? The people wanted to steal the money,
but there's no
committee.
There's no confirmation to say
that is why we have to be patient, so that we then need to conclude things. Since there's a committee, let us hold the committee responsible to tell the public what exactly happened, and all we can do now is to ensure that the report is not unknown to people. Let us know so that in future this can also be avoided, but I don't really see any big deal now on this thing. What is more important is that money is illegal money. I mean, it's a money that some people wanted to divert the money, and now the government,
we cannot,
the EFCC.
Can we conclude that? Because there's still, according to you, we should wait for the committee to conclude this investigation. But if you, as the head of the Transparency International, is concluding or telling us on this program that it is money that is meant to be diverted, so we take you that it is actually money to be diverted. Meanwhile, you just said we should wait for that confirmation to come up.
I am saying that.
Isn't that the confusion this committee
no.
is
There are two
now?
things, One is to get the report to come. But even before the report comes, already court has legitimized that money to public funds, to government to use, which means that if the money was not actually, there was no any fishy thing, the courts cannot give government go ahead to use the money. So that clearly tells you that the money was actually not in the appropriate, or is not going to be used for the purpose in which the money initially was meant for. Second, there was no transparency in the whole process, because why should somebody go and keep that kind of huge amount of money in his or her a personal apartment, so that clearly shows you that there's a kind of fraudulent intention in what they wanted to do with the money, So your quarrel now is that the committee has not yet come out to tell Nigerians, about that. And I'm saying that we can continue to put pressure for them to do that. But for me, I am more happy to see that the government has actually, succeeded in getting back that money legally, through legal and through court manner.
But can I put you on hold on that? We have agreed that, just by what you said, we have agreed that it is government money.
Yes.
The head of the NIA that said it is money appropriated for covert operation, still going by that, it is government money, government has taken over its money. There's no big deal about that. Where the big deal is, what is that money doing in that place? Why is it there? Why the presidency at some point has denied knowledge of that money, the NSA at some point denied knowledge of that money. At a point, he said, okay, yes, I was briefed, I briefed the presidency, but the president were not briefed. Confusion all around. Now, you as the head of the Transparency International, would you say the head of that committee then was the vice president, now the acting president, meant to report to the president, who will eventually maybe transfer to the acting, to the Attorney General for action or something? But now the head of that committee is still the head of the federal government now. Who does he report to? Is that the reason why we have this difficulty?
I think we shouldn't really overplug this matter. I think for me, in my opinion, in my candid opinion, is that Nigerian government through the legal institution had been able to rescue that money. which is meant for the
Should
public.
yeah, isn't that enough? Shouldn't you punish perpetrators?
Yeah.
Going by what the EFCC has always done in the past.
Exactly.
They go after people.
Now, I am saying that we should, hold on. We cannot say that they are not going to do that. We can hold on. We can give them the benefit of, whatever investigation they are doing to reconfirm whatever their, their allegation, or their suspicion is, So for me, I don't think we have lost anything. We will still expect and demand, accountability on what that committee has done. So I don't think it is really a big problem. Where I will have problem is when that money now cannot be traced or cannot, come back to the public, copper. That's where I will have a problem. But just the committee maybe delaying, to conclude their own, work on it. I don't think that is something I should
let me take one more question on that before we conclude the program. From the moment the EFCC got this issue of the Ikoyi Gate, Osborne Road money, it seems it has gone unavoidably quiet. We're not hearing anything from EFCC again. No more whistleblowing. No more people being arrested.
No.
The EFCC has gone out of news, basically. From the moment after the Ikoyi Gate, the EFCC has practically gone out of news. Unlike before that time when it was in the news almost every week.
I think if you really know what is going on in Nigeria, and if you know how much people have looted that country, both the northerners, the southerners, the Muslim, the Christian, if you know the amount of looting with impunity they have perpetuated, especially in the last 7 years, it is something that is beyond if they told you before that that kind of huge amount of money will be found in somebody's apartment, probably you will doubt it. You will even say, where will people get that kind of money?
Did somebody call the EFCC to order? Because what I'm saying, I mean, Nigerians were getting hyper about the activities of the EFCC prior to the discovery of the money.
Let me tell you what is going on. You see, the crook and criminal, the looters are not sleeping. As EFCC is chasing them, they are also undermining and doing all sorts of things, sponsoring all sorts of pestilence, irresponsible people coming to even attack the EFCC and anti-corruption, And you can see clearly how some of the senators openly in the floor of the National Assembly say we will not confirm him because if we confirm Magu, he is going to arrest us. So you can see that there's a fight between those who did not want Nigeria progress and those who are working very hard to make sure that they bring some level of sanity and putting their life. You can imagine now all the people that are working on anti-corruption area, their life is at risk because these criminals, this crook, these people who have looted the country, they have enormous resources both in and out of the country. And that is why what we are doing now is actually to help government to engage in beneficial ownership, coming to different parts of the world to ensure that we take stock of how many properties Nigerians have stolen and kept in those countries, so that we can work towards getting back those properties, because these are public funds. They deprive their people, including their even neighbors, even those who are, for example, doing all this agitation. You can see that their neighbors, are hungry. They are not, helping them with school fees. They are not helping them with the Medicare. In fact, they steal all the billions. No road, no water, no electricity. And yet you are telling me you want to do separation. Where will you separate to? When the same people are the ones that are looting, even in your backyard.
All right. I've been talking with our Musa Rafsanjani. Thank you so much for joining us on the show today. He is the Executive Director of Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Center in Abuja, I guess? Yes, and also the head of Transparency International Nigeria. He's the chairman of Amnesty International Nigeria. He's been on the show with us. Quickly, last question. The Nigeria we have today, is it the Nigeria of your dream?
We work to have Nigerians, Nigeria of our dream, and it is this, you and I and other Nigerians that are patriotic, that are committed, that are really interested in moving the country forward, that will make the Nigeria of our dream.
All right, thanks so much. It's a pleasure having you on the show, Awa Musa Rafsanjani. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you
I
very
wish you the
much.
best
Thank
journey
you.
and
Thank
safe
you.
journey back to Nigeria.
Thank you
We're
very
going on a
much.
very short break now, and I will bring my other guest to come on and join us. Now we'll be talking Britain, be talking about way forward for Britain in the wake of the election that has cost Prime Minister Theresa May a weakened government and a hung parliament. Uma Kankiya is here to join us on the show. Don't go away. About Prime Minister Theresa May.
Election results.